$20,000.
Why should the steamship authority just pick up debt? Commonwealth's not gonna let them go out of business.
Wouldn't the steamship authority start sending a ferry out of New Bedford if it had to try to subsidize some other private firm? I think they'd probably start shipping stuff out of New Bedford, send a ferry over there, you know. But we, you know, in other parts of this I've written.
Did you find, was there part of the Enabling Act that had a fund for that type of thing, or you would add that?
I would add to the.
You would add that type of a fund.
Whatever the word is.
A reserve fund, is that it?
The reserve fund.
Uh-huh.
Not the sinking fund?
Yeah, they obviously use their
Oh, I
reserves for
see
other
that.
stuff. Their reserve fund is their building fund, yeah, or their parking lot purchase fund.
Right.
They don't
Yeah.
specify what that reserve fund is for. In
Amount
here,
sufficient
and so
to
they do what they
maintain
please with
said
it.
fund at a level equal to 5% of the principal.
doesn't
amount of-
say.
I mean, it's,
That we
I think it's a backup
save
to
money
the-
to cover deficit, and cover,
well, the sinking fund is for capital improvements and
I think it's for shortages.
For
you know.
shortages.
Yeah,
In
that's
other
what I
words,
would think.
it's an insurance policy that the islands don't have to pay.
so they're self-insured.
And also it,
What is a sinking fund anyway? I mean, when boats sink, what is that, what is a sinking
that's what I
fund?
thought, but that's what it says. It says
Various
it's for
words,
What is-
capital improvements and replacement
What is a
funds.
sinking,
Don't know.
what's the
Yeah,
concept?
I think it's just tapped all the time and replenished and tapped and replenished.
An amount
Hmm.
sufficient to provide for the
Go ahead, yeah, I'm
payment
not
of
sure where it
interest
Money
on
sticks out the
and
bottom.
or amortization and payment of principal on bonds, as the same shall become
Yeah, my additional wrinkle on this stuff was that the steamship authority, you know, this is not the top priorities down near the bottom, but be forced somehow to oversee the proper execution of private entities that are gonna do the same thing as the lifeline promised by the steamship authority. In other words, the steamship authority through time should shrink back to where it's like bailing people out on a Wednesday night and getting everybody off the island or whatever the hell, but the rest of it should be privatized, okay?
Correct.
I'm talking about private steam.
So we're agreeing the same sort of
Yeah.
thing. That's my, right? When I say they ought to shrink back to February as their,
So
Yeah.
the language in here
The whole
about
company
regulating
ought-
private firms is heavy-handed in your view.
No,
Absolutely.
I don't mind them regulating, no. It's a little heavy-handed, but I.
'Cause you can't make a move if you've got more than 40 passengers without their stamp
I
of
know, that's
approval,
not,
yeah.
okay, that's heavy-handed, absolutely. They should license, I think it says that they can license anybody they want, basically, after the fact. But it says, nobody over 40 passengers can not come to us for permission.
Right.
That's basically what it says. But they have the ability now to oversee, well, they oversee the High Line and they oversee.
Yeah. I mean, they do seem to give approvals for the most part.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, if,
but they don't say exactly what they are approving or why it's their business. For instance,
No, it's given to them in here, the authority to license anybody over 40 passengers.
No, I understand, but they don't explain what that means,
Because-
whether they're financially viable or whether their ships are safe or they,
Well, I'm sure they have to be Coast Guard approved, we know.
well, correct,
That's
but
what-
so they,
we want them
That's
to continue that.
to do that.
So I may see how I phrase it, I think. I said, to acquire, to regulate but not financially manage, oversee and assess the performance of private boat lines providing similar services to the islands. That's what okay. They can basically do that now, okay? But I also put down to freeze the number of vessels that they operate until, and each time they want to come forward with a new vessel, they have to go assess the private market to
Mhm.
see who
First.
could, yes.
So you,
Oh,
am
you mean
I
instead
following?
of putting on a third slip?
Yes,
um,
am I
just 'cause they can, yeah.
following, am I following you, oh, but you added something I think is more critical than what I was thinking, which is good.
Has
Am
anyone,
I saying the same thing that you are, or thinking the same thing when I say I think they should just be minimal bones And my concept, or I don't know how you think about it, but I think, oh, February. What's the least
Yeah.
amount of vessel and service they need
That
to
would,
keep those people functioning
right,
in February, and that's who they ought to be.
right.
No bigger
but-
than that.
But that transition to that would require
Selling boats.
selling boats.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's all right.
Okay, I'm on board with that completely.
Or
Why
not
not?
buying new ones.
Though they would still have the ability to oversee
Yes.
the operation. They'd be the responsible entity,
Yes.
okay, to have the mix of SSA vehicles and private boat lines to take care of those issues.
So no, if no one wanted to carry fire trucks, or if no one wanted to do things, yeah, so that they could see that the islands have whatever, and they ought to identify essential functions. Fire, rescue,
I,
whatever, and
You think
that's,
it's unrealistic, or?
and
I
that's
think it's
who they ought to be.
unrealistic.
It may
Yeah.
be, but I think that's,
Yeah, Bill's
Well,
got the,
I don't know
Bill's
that
got the
it is.
radical
I don't know.
approach, yeah.
Because
I
the
don't care
reason
about
that
what
they
they-
have
they
the
can get rid of those stories
stranglehold
pretty
is
easily.
so that
They can get rid of them
can
very easy.
keep
They're gonna
going
sink
themselves.
anyway, they may get rid of them
They-
anyway without.
Have them
I
like
think
Costa
these are
Rica
questions
now.
that we want to ask people like Eric Turkington and Michael, just how realistic a whole.
Well, I think that we ought to not
Complete revamping
be
might be.
prejudging what can be done.
Yeah, I think we're looking at several different routes forward, all of them positive, okay? Some of them attack the structure of the authority. Some of them are like a compromise that I would think, a couple of compromise routes that I could think of where we would basically just settle for having truck traffic go to New Bedford, okay? There are
Mhm.
lots of ways of doing that, it seems to me, by, not by doing environmental studies, but by simply making noise and defining clearly what all of the objections here are, what all the spillover costs are to the community.
And bridges.
Yes, yeah. You can encase that in the larger picture, of course, but this, you say, this is what this document has got us.
Because there's
Boom,
a,
boom, 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 you know?
there's a cost. One of the things that I heard at the Bridge Canal study, which was really kind of interesting, was there's a fair cost, environmental cost, quality of life cost to Buzzards Bay, Wareham, are all struggling with truck traffic. And the other interesting detail, I don't know where to put it, but when they did away with the rotary on the north side of the Sagamore Bridge, the trucks started to drive a little more rapidly. They started to move, enter the bridge faster. And as they did, the harmonic vibrations, the amplitude increased. And the rate of deterioration of the bridges accelerated. And the Corps of Engineers is really concerned about this accelerated rate of deterioration. And I just have that stuck on the shelf. I don't know what to do with it, except if this were a regional transportation system, you would try to ease the stress on the bridge by removing as many trucks as possible.
Exactly, good point.
And so the concerns of the Corps of Engineers help our argument when we think regionally.
Mhm. Yeah, there's not much regional in here, really.
There's
Oh,
nothing,
no,
there's
no.
It's
not,
all,
we got
it's all vineyard
bubbles.
and Nantucket focus, basically, yeah.
We have
Or
such
it's kind of
isolation. Each
protectionism.
island is
It's only about
isolated.
the islands. It's
Yeah.
only about the
Yeah.
islands.
Each
vineyard and
is
Nantucket,
isolated,
sure.
including the bridge is isolated. The interesting thing about going to the bridge was that they talked about Martha's Vineyard. But no one from Martha's Vineyard was there.
Yeah.
And a whole different group of people appeared that I had never met before. And they have a lot of concerns about traffic and trucks up on the bridges. So we have the same concerns that they have. And so, we got a bigger group here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And with other compelling issues, including their point of view, disaster management. The topic that is talked about, I don't know if it's real or not, and it doesn't exactly matter, but they talk about it. It's this perception business of the bridges being
Mhm. This
closed.
is what Robin has brought up.
A bridge is being closed by an accident, Marine Act Maritime, or a truck, or a fuel truck, or
A light post.
somebody,
A light post.
Hmm?
A light post came down.
Hmm.
light post came down, or an intentional sabotage, because we have people deny or seem not to recognize that a lot of high-profile folks around here, including the Koch brothers, right down the road. And so there's a lot of reason, could be, these bridges, in some folks' minds, the minds of some folks, these bridges in fact are a target. Whether we believe that or not, I don't know, but some people do. And that's okay, because the Steamship Authority ought to be ready to go from Woods Hole to New Bedford, and because we'll have 3 islands. And so, as far as I'm concerned, that's going our way.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're
They
saying.
need to be
It's a
flexible.
security issue. We need
We
to
would
have
need to be
the system
provisioned
working.
also.
We would need to be provisioned as well as Hyannis. And so, okay,
Woods Hole could be the port to the mainland.
could be and we'll have to go
from
back and
from
forth to New
isolated Cape Cod.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so, from a regional perspective, what I began to sort of get a feeling for of the canal study was that whole story. And I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting.
But what you have to be careful of, I swear, is the urbanization. Because when they did that awful thing up at Sagamore,
Yes.
it
Oh.
was a step backwards.
But they have told, yeah, of course it
It
was.
was a
And
step
they,
backwards.
that's what the canal study group has talked about, and they have vetoed a 3rd bridge.
Good.
Absolutely. 2 bridges, and no wider. 2 two-lane bridges.
Hmm.
They were very clear, and they shut up the one guy who, the engineer from the Quabbin Aqueduct, who apparently shows up at all these meetings and talks loudly, and he is the proponent of the 3rd bridge. Every
Hmm.
half hour
Oh,
during
yeah,
the
that must
meeting,
be
he said, 3rd bridge would solve that problem. And
pockets.
they finally had to shut him up, this Ethan
Oh.
Brightland or Bretland, who's in charge
Who's in
of the
charge,
canal
yeah.
study group, said, we've got your point, just go ahead.
But,
No, 2 bridges.
uh-huh. We've got a
Anyway.
few trips to report back in on. Is there anything else about what I would about the Enabling Act? What I would propose is that I may have to listen back over this. For when we meet next time, I'll do my best to put a few notes together of what we've said, or focus on the parts that might
To keep us,
be most worthy of change. Although keeping in mind that there's also the perspective that none of this may ever work. I mean, we may need to start.
well, there may
completely.
be reasons why,
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's a
But
stretch to think that just throwing this out could work. I don't think that's a
Yeah.
stretch
But,
at all, on a regional basis.
Well, maybe that might be our recommendation. But let's
Although I
let's
think
return to
Phil
this.
understands
in 2 or
better
3 weeks.
better than I do. Phil understands
Mhm.
some of the intricacies of how all this works.
Mhm.
And so I'm kind of interested, you really have a better grip on it. But
So if there are any other points about the
I'm naive.
the
about
Enabling
it.
Act and you want to send them to me, feel free. Otherwise, I'll try to summarize what we've said, and then maybe we could look at that summary next time we meet. And at
Or
some
even
point,
in between, because maybe,
or in between,
or maybe we
okay.
could even talk Phil into joining us. We sit down, because I think we ought to have an agenda for hopefully meeting with Michael.
Right, I think
And
this
say,
needs to be
look,
building
these are
up
our
to a
que-
meeting with Michael.
We ought to be getting, at least keeps us focused.
Hmm.
I think we're getting ready to meet with him.
Yeah, no, he's ready and willing. I think he mentioned today on the phone that it might be good to meet when Vinny comes down as well. Although maybe those are 2 separate meetings. We'll have to see. Vinny owes Michael a favor, and Michael's.
He's an old Beacon Hill politician, I guess, Michael, and an attorney, right?
Yeah, he said he
Yeah,
represented
politician,
Roslindale.
Yes,
for
so I think
17
it's
years.
okay for us to sort of
Yeah.
be getting ready, because I have yet another question, and that is there, in 2017, what would a legal review of this document look like? Is this a monopoly? Is it legal? What would a,
It's a state mandated authority. It's just like the mass highways, the turnpike.
Yeah, the
They
government's run a
exist-
lot of
they
monopolies
exist
now.
out there in the ether.
Well, this is it's a legal document, period. But it has brought about the capture of the regulatory agency by the islanders.
Mm-hmm.
So which is not an uncommon thing at all, you know. The people that you regulate capture the agency that regulates them. And that's what we got here.
And it was set up that way initially,
Well, sure,
with the votes.
Well,
I
it
think the
used to
votes weren't
be-
that bad initially,
When
but
New
they,
Bedford was in there, it was the big boy. And, I thought there was a deficit, and that's when they got rid of New Bedford.
But that was 56
That
years
was
ago. I mean, that's
Yeah,
not,
yeah, we're
not 20 years ago, but,
talking
yeah.
61, yeah.
uh-huh.
That was before sixty,
Yeah.
way back in the mid-50s.
That feels like
And it was
past history, yeah.
yeah. But you see,
Oh, that's where this came
I
from,
think
yeah.
one can
40%.
struggle over that, but at the same time,
There
I
was
think
something
that
about
in
40%.
terms
Oh,
of the
40% in
regional
Bedford.
system,
It was in there
But
somewhere.
that goes way
That
back.
again is
yeah.
a red
Yeah,
herring.
that was,
Make
yeah.
it work.
Yeah.
In New Bedford.
Yeah.
Just
This
plain
is hard to
make
read,
it
'cause
work.
the dates aren't obvious, yeah. But the whole document,
Why is it so
1960.
possible to
This
make
is-
it work?
this is
This
in the
was added.
way
Stand
of a
corrected.
coherent regional transportation.
Yes, it is.
Mm.
It's absolutely in the way.
Yes.
This enabling act, this being.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
disabling act now.
it's a disabling act.
Regional disabling act.
Mhm.
I read this over and over again, and I have pretended that I'm in New Bedford, Nantucket. I even got a picture out of Nantucket, and I read this, and I said, I can see the sections on our lake.
Yeah.
And then I went over to the vineyard. I waited a day, so I'm gonna read it, and pretend I'm sitting in the Blackduck, or sitting there talking to Tristan Israel. And he's pointing out to me why this is a good document.
They like it, yeah.
Yeah? And I sit up in town hall in Falmouth and read it and say, yep, we got money, we get, yep, works for us. And so, and all these people have a different point of view and they're all at war with each other. Thank you so much. It's a disabling act.
Did any of those people mention this act as something that constitutes a lifeline for them?
They do
It
say that at
constitutes-
meetings.
No, not
A
the.
lifeline?
Yeah, do any of the citizens of the island think about this as a lifeline?
No, they're, the lifeline to their business. They see it as a
Mm.
Subsidized cost of transport.
subsidized, and I think that's an important concept, to see it as a subsidized, and that ought to interest the citizens of Massachusetts,
Or at least southeastern Massachusetts.
all of Massachusetts. Like, why are they subsidizing,
Mhm.
why are they subsidizing the growth of the vineyard
But
and
see, they're
Nantucket?
not, because it's not costing them anything. It's just costing us because
Well, then
it comes
yeah.
through our town.
But southeastern Massachusetts, but anyway, yeah.
It doesn't.
And what would a
cost them.
public referendum look like if if this were clearly explained?
Yeah, referendum would be in conflict with
What would
the
a
big money interest, which the
What would a-
truckers represent and which are,
What would a public
really no
referendum, and
small
how do you
consideration.
create, how do you move toward a public referendum? How do you do it?
Where would you do it, Bill?
I don't know, but I thought, what would happen if people understood
I-
this and,
People are so busy, only people like us who are impacted by it are interested. And the people, and the people in Bourne and Sagamore who are impacted.
Does seem to be the
but
car
I think
issue.
that starts to get to be a fair number of people.
It does, but I don't think I don't think.
I mean,
you
there's some
wanna get- I don't
environmental
think you wanna
arguments.
get- you don't wanna get into a
Massachusetts is
referendum.
trying to be
Sure.
progressive with gasoline
Yeah.
usage.
Well, those communities over the bridge, I was struck when you said that, communities over the bridge are impacted by all that traffic coming through the trucks.
And there's a whole traffic issue. That's a big
Huge traffic issue, and I have pages and pages from the
I don't know
canal
if it's a
study
statewide
group.
referendum, but it might be a Southeast Mass type
Southeast Mass.
referendum. I don't know how that exists. Those two counties.
All this stuff comes from the canal study. They're playing with
Massed up, okay.
all this. This is for the last meeting I was at. Look at all their various,
We will try to, this group meets 2 or 3 times a week, a month, a year.
January's next.
January, so next one's
Oh,
coming.
yeah, next in
Okay.
January,
All right.
and it's good to go.
Well,
Do we know how much
Can you-
traffic?
put out the date of the next meeting. please.
Yeah, they didn't know yet, but let's
Right.
try to find out.
I forget.
Their past history was only 2 or 3 meetings a year, but maybe they're on a
They're
fast track
meeting
now.
more
yeah.
often, but you see, they're busy.
There are traffic
That's-
Even
counts.
if you
Yeah,
don't.
that's great
How
stuff.
Cape Cod Commission,
Well,
they even
and
have to do
suppose we
tests
had
on
something like that.
Uh-huh.
Suppose if we
Road.
had a bigger
Over